Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hello and welcome to episode 293 of the AFTN podcast. I am no longer men's league free agent Joe Deasy.
You got signed?
I got signed.
Okay.
Well, I hope I got signed. I'll know by the end of the week. Please sign me, Club Ireland Celtic. I'm joined by, he's a lean, mean hiking machine. It's Nicholas Ruprecht.
Mm-hmm.
What's the hike count, Nick, for the summer?
Like, nothing right now, because it's like...
Now it's smoky. We had some dumpster fire jokes and smoke jokes that we cut out of the running order because it's old ground at this point.
It's too much.
Yeah. Nick, opening question. If you could be one Whitecaps player for a day, who would you be?
I'm not sure who I would be. I don't know if I would want to be a Whitecaps player right now, honestly.
You've just opted out.
I guess if you force me to choose one, maybe Marinovic.
Yeah, seems like a cool guy.
He's got an accent, you know.
Yeah. Walk around downtown with the accent.
Exactly.
Yes, get into some interesting conversations. I would be Breck Shea because Breck Shea is on $700K a year, which, Nick, is $19,000 a day, and I could use $19,000.
You could use $19,000.
Sorry, $1,900. Sorry, that's too much. Yeah, $1,900. I could use that.
Yeah.
You know, cover rent and car payment, things like that. It's perfect. So it's a purely financial thing.
Financial reason.
Yeah. Let's complete the sentences. Let's go to part one of our show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look ahead to the San Jose game. Well, there'll be two San Jose games, but we'll look ahead to the first one. But let's have a quick look back, and we'll kind of let everyone know our frame of mind with these complete the sentences. Mm-hmm. The Caps will blank the playoffs.
I said miss the playoffs.
Okay. I'm going to go make the playoffs.
Okay.
I know there's that statistical thing that you look at every week to see what the percentage is, but the table doesn't look that bad to me.
It's still not good.
Yeah, we'll discuss that more later. Blank will be a revelation for the rest of the season. Revelation. Sorry.
Revelation?
Yeah.
Levis,
yeah. I'll go Hurtado if he keeps up the current
form,
yeah. Blank will not be on the Caps roster next year.
So many to choose from.
Just pick a name out of a hat, really.
Juarez?
Okay. I initially went for Juarez as well, but I think I'm going to go Mosqueda.
You think Mosqueda? Yeah.
I think it's time.
Yeah, I could see him. I mean, he's a really good depth. He's not a player that I have a problem with, though. So,
but at some point, it stagnates. But I think by the end of the season, we'll have a lot better idea about these players,
That's true. Decisions
have to be made. And with all the revelations that came out midweek on the TSN interviews for Bobby Leonarduzzi and Jeff Mallett, I think questions are going to be asked.
Yeah.
But we'll say this right at the top of the show. We'll leave that for Sunday. Those guys on Sunday, they know they know a lot more than we do about that kind of stuff.
Into the meat of it.
Yeah, and they'll cover that. We'll focus on the positives,
We'll focus on the game.
Playing San Jose is a positive, Nick, because San Jose are a terrible team.
Terrible team.
If you thought being a Whitecaps fan was bad this season, try being a San Jose fan for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's not been good, Nick.
Yeah. Wando getting older.
Yeah, 35.
the back line and organization of the team was horrendous this year.
Yeah. Positive result last week, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So you think it's organization is the main reason?
I think like a lot of it has to do with organization of the team. But I also think a lot of it has to do with they didn't upgrade their... Like, you look around the league seems to be getting better.
Mm.
What moves stood out for me that strengthened their defensive solidity of San Jose?
Just that recent signing, which the Kashia guy.
Yeah.
He played one game so far, but
he's a lot better.
He's actually played a few games, but last game he played pretty well.
Yeah.
They got a good result against Toronto.
Yeah.
But results wise, which is all it comes down to, one win in the last 16 games.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
The last time they could say that their last win before that, so their second last win was in early May. Like, my goodness, that is a terrible run of form. And, the MLS is a league that doesn't have promotion and relegation, so you'll get teams like that at this point of the season who just have nothing to play for.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Well, presumably the people are playing for their jobs.
Yeah. Well, the contract structure in MLS is another talking point we could get into,
Yeah.
They're a team of Breck Shays,
Well, I don't know if they're a team of Breck Shays.
No, but like they're contract-wise, right? They are protected by their contracts. But it's not like hockey where you can,
buy them out.
Yeah, or you could buy them out in MLS, but there seems to be a better waiver system in hockey, things like that. Yeah, 17 points, just 3 wins.
Yeah, I think that's very bad. I think the worst MLS team was DC United in 2013. They had 16 points. So they're not going to be the worst team ever.
Yeah, but
there
are also more teams now.
That's true.
So they have more opportunity to get points. So if you scale it down, they might be on track.
Yeah, maybe points per game is a better thing to look at.
Yeah. They managed to draw against TFC last game. Wando came off the bench and scored. That's a good result, even if TFC, had a midweek game last week with the Canadian Championship.
Yeah.
It's still a decent result, right?
Yeah, I think, you spoiled TFC, who are itching to get back into the playoff picture. So there's nothing terrible with that result for that team. I think they were a lot better organized. They kept more men behind the ball.
Yeah.
They weren't as gung-ho as they were, from what seemed to be earlier in the season. And, that allowed them to stay in the game.
It's just looking at their team, no one looks dangerous. Wondolowski had to come off the bench to score, right? Their 2 strikers are quite a good pairing. So they play a 4-4-2 most of the time. I think in order to get their 2 strikers on the field. And they've had limited success against the Whitecaps in the past as well, these 2 strikers. So these 2 strikers are Vako and Hosen. Between them, they've 16 goals and 6 assists.
Yeah, I think Hosen's been great.
Yeah.
And Vako is, the other Valeri, he's been
yeah.
He's also been good. I don't have any problem with them. Like I said, it's more their defensive structure and their...
But MLS teams... We criticize the Whitecaps for not adding attacking pieces, right? San Jose have added attacking pieces. It's just that the rest of the team is dysfunctional.
Yeah, basically.
You think that's a fair statement?
I think that's a very fair statement.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of forced into playing a 2-striker formation because of they have 2 good strikers.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not their best interest if they want to shore up the midfield, make sure that the back line isn't too exposed. You're leaving the midfield too a lot to do if you have a weak back line.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's, I think, gets to the point of them being kind of disjointed and not being able to transition well from when they lose the ball in attack to defense. Because, if you're asking your midfield to do so much and they're not that good, although, I mean, there's a little bit of...
There's quality in there.
There's quality there. They're not, bad, but there's no person in that midfield that you're they can pick out an amazing pass and make something happen out of nothing.
Yeah, it very much, just looking at the stats that the the team have so far this season, it just looks so top heavy, right? I think like the two strikers doing their job. Their right winger Eriksson has 4 goals and 3 assists. Like they're relying on Wando for 7 goals off the bench. He's come off the bench 8 times this season.
He might be going for that MLS record. I think that's one thing they could, as a team, go for.
And if there's a team that he could bag a bunch of goals, it's the Whitecaps. It's interesting that they're going to play the Whitecaps 2 games in a row, right? Because the first game will be fresh in their minds for the second game, which will influence like very directly your tactical approach in the second game. I don't know how reactionary like the two coaches will be, but I don't think Robbo is very reactionary. Like, and by that I mean adaptive kind of a coach. But I think it's going to be kind of fun to watch the second game because, like, for example, if Davies rips them apart in the first game, they're not going to let him do that in the second game. They'll just kick him to shreds, right? Yeah. But he's not a new commodity. I think it's not he's not a new thing.
And I mean, they could take a page from what TFC did and try to
professional foul him.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that midfield now. Godoy, who was at the World Cup, and Fernandez are in the middle. They're okay players. It's just that they have too much to do, I think.
The other thing that I saw over the season as well with San Jose was Youngsworth playing in mid as well.
I like him as a player. He's very tidy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, but I question whether playing him in CB is his best position.
I don't think so. He's quite dynamic. I think I remember him before playing in that more defensive midfield role. But in a 4-4-2, and when you have Fernandez and Godoy, like, I think ideally you would want to have 3 in there, and Youngsworth being the more defensive guy. So because Godoy has a lot of energy to go up and down. Yeah. He's a really physical player as well. And a really good stat about Godoy: he has a more than 90% pass accuracy. Like, he keeps the ball. Right? Yeah. He doesn't. In my mind, he's the MLS Arturo Vidal. He's just up and down the field, like, tearing people apart.
And sometimes he scores a.
Oh yeah, for
nice
sure.
Goal.
Was it him who had that really cool chip a while back?
No, I think that was
the other San Jose guy. Oh yeah. They all look kind of similar though.
Everyone on San Jose just blends in.
Yeah, exactly.
Mentality.
Youngsworth, we like him.
Yeah, we like him, but again, I think I would prefer to have him be playing further up the field. Yeah. But I think that speaks to San Jose's what do I want to say? Disjointedness in the back line that he has to play there.
Yeah.
Oh, in the back line as well, Nick Lima. He's fantastic.
He is very good. Yeah.
He's fantastic. Like, I looked, great dribbler.
Yeah, and he plays on the right side.
He plays on the right side, and he has, 1.8 tackles per 90 minutes this season, and 1.8 interceptions per 90 minutes this season.
Oh, and they
pretty good.
They just traded for Orduro as well. So he could feature at some point. He's probably just a bench player at this point, but
maybe.
Yeah, but going back to Lima, he would play behind Eriksson.
Yeah,
so that right side is quite tricky.
And if you look at a lot of their stats, they do tend to play a lot more down their right side.
Interesting, and that's the side that Godoy is on as well in the midfield usually. Yeah.
So usually they're playing a lot of their attacking phases through that right side of the field. Yeah,
like Youngsworth is a good player, but he can't do it all himself. Lima is a good player, but he can't do it all.
He's pretty attacking.
Yeah, that's the impression I have on him too.
He's quite good defensively as well.
It's just they're so horribly exposed. If you're constantly,
when they go forward, they that's the problem. Is they're really bad at transitioning back into that defense. I mean, I would prefer, if I was San Jose, I would almost say have a defensive midfielder, maybe take one of your strikers off.
But then they have.
They've
invested in these strikers, which is the right thing to do if you're losing a player like Wondolowski. Like, you can't just have a void there, right?
Yeah.
So the Whitecaps never filled the void of, I don't know, Kenny Miller or Camilo. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Like, it's a dangerous spiral to fall into if your team can just stop scoring goals. What do you think their game plan will be against the Whitecaps this weekend?
Well, they'll probably play their 4-4-2.
That's a safe bet, I think.
4-4-2. I think they're going to actually look to continue that disciplinary kind of staying
compact.
Doing what's compact.
Yeah. The first game is in San Jose. The second game is at PC Place.
But I think they even they need to stay compact if they want to have a chance of getting a win.
And based on their results, it's not something they've been doing.
No. So if they can organize themselves better and they can stay disciplined and not get caught out, especially for the Whitecaps, right?
Yeah.
If you're going forward and then you lose the ball in somewhere where Davies is, that's going to be a terrible position that you put yourself into. Yeah. So I think they have to be very disciplined about that. And I think they're going to win or lose, based on that.
Yeah. Biggest weakness in the team?
Their organization.
Yeah.
Basically, their lack of transitional skills, their poor defending on set pieces as well. They've been really bad at that.
I think for me, it's their wide positions being really exposed. So I think you can point to like wingers not tracking back, or distributing the responsibilities properly so that you have coverage in those areas, which bodes well for the Whitecaps. That's all.
That's true.
It bodes very well for the Whitecaps, but. Can we guarantee a result in this game?
That's why you play games.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like you play games because it's not done on paper.
No, there's no givens. Well, if San Jose win this game, Nick, they could move within 4 points of Colorado, who are second from the bottom. So silver linings, right?
Yeah.
They are not just bottom of the Western Conference; they're bottom of the Supporters' Shield standings and everything. It's not going well, and I think. If this was a game you expected 3 points from, like away from home this point of the season, the Whitecaps have been talking a lot about must-win games. These are 2 must-win games.
Yeah.
It boils down to if you don't beat San Jose, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Basically, yes. I would agree with that sentiment 100%.
Okay. So we've kicked the tires on San Jose a little bit. Now we're going to do a game. So Gideon's still busy. I believe his brother's getting married and he's got bunch of things going on, but
he's a busy man.
He's a very busy man.
Got his hands in a lot of pies.
We're trying to schedule weeks in advance in order to get him. But the game I've come up with, because we have to do a one-on-one game, and me being the game master, I can't participate.
And I being fodder.
Yeah. What I've done is I've gone through the people that the Whitecaps follow on Twitter.
Okay.
And I'm going to read some tweets of someone that they follow. And just as a hint, they follow players that they currently play for them and players that used to play for them as well. And I've picked a player.
Okay.
I'm going to read some of his tweets, and you get one guess per tweet.
Oh, boy.
Okay? All right.
Let's do this.
I'll throw myself on this. You know what? I'll make this a little bit easier for you. This is a past Whitecaps player. Okay. August 15th. Good luck to @Whitecaps and the boys tonight in Toronto. # bring it home.
I don't know, Kenny Miller. I don't even know.
Kenny Miller just got sacked as manager of Livingston in Scotland. He was a player manager. That's a great story, by the way. Okay, August 8th. My brother @eHurtado with another goal for the Caps. Doing it big, son.
Who is...
Friends with Hurtado.
Friends with Hurtado.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were friends with Hurtado.
It's true.
So.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Hamadou Ka.
Oh, no. But let me say you're kind of close, if that makes sense.
Okay.
All right?
Probably a defender somewhere.
May 26th, let's go @Darren Mattox.
Let's go.
So he's tweeting a lot about the Whitecaps for some reason.
Yeah, he's tweeting a lot about the Whitecaps.
All right, next tweet. Spent a great Saturday watching and learning about the sport I love, and then a heart emoji and a soccer ball emoji.
I don't know, David Edgar?
No. David Edgar does like to tweet though. Okay, last one I'll give you. Sled with Huskies today in Kiruna. Don't do it. My feet and hands are still cold 4 hours later.
Manny?
It is Kakuta Mane! Congratulations! He's a funny person. That I love his tweets. He's so good.
Now I get the Hamadou Ka reference.
Yeah.
At first I was like, defender?
Okay, so Whitecaps time, Nick. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important are these 2 games? How many points do you expect?
I would say 10, honestly. Like, if you want to get into... Because basically they have to win these games.
Yeah.
Then they're going to have to play Seattle, and they're going to have to win those games as well. So, if you want to get into the playoffs, you need to win these 2 games. You need those 6 points.
6 points at this point in the season are huge. Whitecaps are 8th right now.
Yeah.
In the standings with a game out of hand.
Yeah.
And 2 games out of hand of Portland, who are in the playoff positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
6 points puts them at 40. And like, other teams
depending on other results.
Yeah, but like there's no way they move down the table with that, right? Like it's a Cascadia mini table right now.
Yeah.
And one team, it looks like one team is going to make playoffs. The Galaxy are in the picture and Real Salt Lake are in that picture as well, but like it's getting to the point of the season where you're just looking up and down and trying to
see what you can do and hope results go your way too.
So we both expect 6 points. I agree with that. But how many points do you think they'll actually get? I'm going to go 4. Which is going to be so frustrating because it doesn't do anything doesn't do much for the standings or anything.
I'm going to say they're going to get the 6 points.
Is this optimism, Nick?
I think they're going to get the 6 points, but again, you still need other results to go your way.
Yeah, it's true.
I think
Caps could win all their games and
still be on the outside looking in.
Well, they do play Seattle and Portland.
They play Seattle and Portland.
Yeah, but the sentiment is there. They need to win. They need to win every game they play, basically.
Expectation is win until the end.
Yeah. They could move up. They could be above the playoff line, which would be great. Like to kind of put pressure on the other teams. Mm-hmm. Portland could slip up both games.
Yeah.
Like the tide can turn so quickly at this point of the season.
Yes.
And it's a scary thing if you're on the wrong side. How many times have in the Whitecaps, like recent past, have they just slid down the table late in the summer? Mm-hmm. I think one of us may have written an article a few years ago about how they did that constantly.
They seem to do that constantly. I mean, it hasn't been a super recent thing this year.
Yeah.
I mean, this year they could have...
they could have done better.
They could have done better, for sure. But, I mean, that last stretch that they had was against very difficult opponents, and they didn't lose anything.
And winning against Portland puts a good twist.
And winning against Portland, and, I mean, you tied against NYCFC.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are
Red Bulls.
Or Red Bulls, yeah. But the last 4 games, it's although arguably that Red Bulls game they should have won.
Yeah, it's those last minute gut punches, right?
Yeah, those have been unpleasant.
Red cards and gut punches.
Yeah.
The story of the 2018 season. Which players in this last 2-month stretch have earned starts for you?
Levis, I would say he's been fantastic.
Could we see him transitioning into the starter by the end of the season? In preparation for next season?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah. I think that would be great.
It's a very healthy competition at that position.
Yeah. I think Tybert, he showed, in the last game when he came on for Juarez, better than Juarez. That's what he showed. It was a pretty much, when you put Tybert in, it gave the team a lot more solidity. Yeah. And then he was actually much better passing. Mm-hmm.
Where do we stand on Hurtado?
It was unfortunate. He didn't do that. I didn't think he did that great in the game that he started.
Yeah, but if you take his last 4 games,
but he's still doing quite well. I don't know if he's earned a start in these games. I
think he's the guy who comes off the bench.
He's the guy who comes off the bench.
Yeah,
I think he's bumped Blondell in terms of the depth chart,
which is unfortunate.
For Blondell, yeah. But fortunate for Hurtado.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's been good enough, but he's definitely not been good enough to surpass Kamara.
But bearing in mind that this is an away game in San Jose, probably a bit more direct than you would be at home.
Yeah.
Do you still play Kamara up front?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because I think Kamara has a better ability to link up with the team than Hurtado. During these last 4 games, he's shown a lot more poise.
Yes, that was going to be my point.
In that way. But I still think Kamara is better at it.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, I think Kamara's hit kind of an inconsistent patch a little bit. Mm-hmm. Early in the season, he was doing quite well. Mm-hmm. But then he was great. But now he's kind of, I don't know, he is an older player.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to bear that in mind too. He played midweek against Toronto last week. Yeah. And then at the weekend as well, I don't know. I think we got to manage a little bit of that as well, the whole fitness thing. Because he does do a lot of running up there, even if he isn't running into the box at the right times.
Yeah.
So let's flip that previous question on its head. Who do you not want to start another game this season?
Juarez?
Yeah. Yeah. Mond didn't cover himself in glory?
No. But I don't know if you can really... Was it Mon's fault for those 2 goals?
No.
Like, I don't think so.
It's a team thing.
That was a... Well, the first one was just... The second one was just like the terrible coverage.
Yeah. Breck Shea scored against Toronto.
Yeah.
He did score against Toronto, I think.
Yeah.
He scored recently.
He scored in the final.
Yeah.
He scored in the final. He scored like the last...
So he starts every game for the rest of the season then?
You're the coach.
All right. What level of control do you think Robbo has on this team?
He's the coach. Like, he's the guy. Whether or not he has control or not over the team, he has to take responsibility for them.
But he hasn't.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of getting at, is like, he hasn't taken responsibility for that. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. It's kind of like abdicating, it was a good effort. And was it a good effort? Sure.
Sometimes it was a good effort.
Sometimes it was a good effort, but could you, be a little bit more honest?
Yeah. But like body language and things like that, and player behavior, like seven red cards.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the other thing. Do you think... I don't think he's managing the characters of the room like,
very well.
That's separate from the fact that, he brings in a player like Kamara, who is a dressing room personality and things like that. But like when the players take to the pitch, I don't think they are in control, right? Like even tactics wise, can Robbo make effective change out there on the battlefield? Not really. He can make subs at times that he needs to do, but like, we haven't seen any tactical tweaks this season that have really changed things for the better. We've seen tactical tweaks for the worse.
Yeah.
But like, how many instances can you think that,
But that's when I think back on like his tenure here, very little of those tactical tweaks
There's been one or two jaw droppers I've had. There was the one that always sticks in mind with me, and I went crazy for it at the time, this is back in Pedro Morales days, and we played TFC away from home. And Robbo identified Beitashour on the right back as a weakness in their team, which is ironic because we haven't really recovered from losing a player like Beitashour.
Well, maybe this year I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, but he played Pedro Morales on the left wing instead of attacking midfield, and it kind of drew the fullback out, and it gave like the other midfield runners lots of space behind Beitashour to get into. That was a really good, that was a great piece of tactical work, but like. I think it's stagnated. I think the relationship has kind of gone dry over time, and you just run out of ideas sometimes.
But here's what I would say is most of his tactical tweaks have been not good. Yeah. Either they've been totally... That's the problem is we can only think of like one or two that were, that was good, that was surprising, that was excellent. But... how many of them have we had where we're just like, that was a terrible decision? Or like, those people can't play that position.
Yeah.
Like,
or that midfield doesn't work together.
Or like whenever we played 3 at the back, always a freaking tire fire. Like, let's be honest.
And we've tried it three times.
How many times?
Yeah.
And it's like, and like Dion, good as like fullback, not that great.
At center back.
As wide center back, kind of thing.
I understand your point, but I think we should throw out the caveat that we don't see everything that happens, right? Like, I don't just mean like in the dressing room and things like that, but we watch the matches as fans, right? If we were in the press box watching it as like a, doing analysis, it would be kind of different. But I think we would see more of those changes. But I agree with you. I don't think. Like, if there was positives in there, we would see it more often, and there just hasn't been enough, right? Like, you want a coach that's going to win you games, right? Not a coach that's just going to see what happens or you want the team to be better than the sum of their parts. That's why you hire a coach. That's why a coach makes a lot of money. Yeah. And that is not what's happening right now. All right, let's go back to the game. Things to focus on to get 3 points. Like, I think the team like us should not focus on the bigger picture, just focus in on this game, get 3 points. What area of the field will this game be won and lost?
I think in the transition phases, but also the midfield battle. Like, if they're lining up in a 4-4-2, I could very easily see us lining up in a 4-4-2
as well,
kind of matching them. And then it's going to be about those individual battles.
So it would be Godoy, Fernandez, and like I want Tybert and Gazal.
Yeah, like who would win that midfield battle?
I think the Whitecaps would have the edge if that was the matchup.
Yeah,
but can we guarantee that a player like Juarez won't be starting? Or
no, you can't.
Even Much in there, I would have Much in front of Juarez.
I think a lot of people are still high on Much because when he's played, he's been quite good.
Yeah,
but
just don't play him at right wing.
But we haven't seen. But he's been injured a lot.
Yeah,
and then there's that whole depth thing.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I think a secondary thing that we like an area of the field that will be really crucial is at wide positions, primarily because of Davies, right?
Mm-hmm.
How San Jose deal with Davies, or how much San Jose care about dealing with Davies. Like if they're a team that's just spiraling out of control, do they have a special game plan for a player like Davies? You would like to think so.
Yeah, I mean, like you can kind of do what TFC did and like triple team him.
But like, is there the motivation for a team that's going to finish bottom of everything to do that?
Good question. Whether or not they execute that game plan, or push him out wide as far as you can.
Yeah, it would
Don't let him drive into the box.
It would be Lima versus Davies, which is a great matchup.
Yeah, which is a good matchup.
But maybe Robbo moves Davies to the right in order to avoid Lima.
But then the flip side is they do most of their attacks through the right.
Yeah, play a more defensive person. Play like this is going to sound funny, but play Breck Shea on the left and tell him stay back.
Yeah. So, and then look for that space.
Yeah. And Kamara can help out.
Yeah.
And like Reyna can take advantage. Reyna could move over to that side
and slip in
and make sure Lima knows that he can't go forward too much because right behind him is Reyna.
Yeah.
That would be quite a good idea. But there's several ways they could use that midfield. Reyna, I think, will be crucial this game because his decision making so often is the factor in like and how well the Whitecaps play. I think I like anytime we've scored down the middle, I said something to do with Reyna, right? The central threat is something the Whitecaps have lacked when he's been out of form.
Yeah.
It's painfully obvious when he's out of form. So I really hope he has a good game. If he even plays, like, can we guarantee anyone is going to start this game? It's a must win.
I think it's a must win. So really, you need to play your best starting. I mean, I feel like we've been saying last couple of games have been must wins, right?
Yeah.
Like wins are more optimal, obviously. So I feel like just play your best 11.
Bearing in mind that San Jose will probably play a 4-4-2. Do we have any creative ideas on formation to counter that? A 4-2-3-1 would completely overrun their midfield, but then you kind of lose, like that second striker and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, but Reyna still, if he's in that middle role, he can still push up.
Yeah, but he would have to get back.
He would still have to drop in. It depends on obviously how much his decision making, like you said, is up to the task of this is a time where I need to push up, or this is a time where I need to drop deeper, collect the ball.
He's been trending upwards though. I think in this as the season has gone by.
Yeah, I think he's one of the few Whitecaps I think that I don't have any particular problem with him coming back,
especially with the off season he had.
Yeah,
it wasn't great. He's 4 goals and 5 assists for the season. 1.3 key passes, Nick.
That's great.
I'm pretty sure that's Whitecaps leading. Oh no, Felipe has 2 key passes again.
That's pretty good.
Felipe is probably going to start, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, that's the thing, right? If you want more, but then against this defense, do we need that attacking creativity?
I think you have to go for it. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would argue just make sure we don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
They'll make a mistake.
But then the Whitecaps will end up drawing, and that's not going to be good enough.
If you have Reyna in there, I think that, and if you have Teixeira in there, that brings enough creativity that you probably don't need Felipe.
But Robbo seems to have a soft spot for Felipe. He's kind of shoehorned him in some games where he doesn't really need to play. Like Tybert lost his place because of Felipe getting traded here. So
yeah, that's true.
Like maybe he's like the kind of personality that you can't drop without him kicking up a fuss or something. The Caps did trade Tim Parker to get him. That's like not a small thing to give away.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look good if he's just sitting on the bench either. That's it's kind of a saving face move or something. I don't know. The back line, I haven't been too concerned, apart from that stupid thing that Daniil Henry did where he punched the wall and broke his hand. Like I know it was in the heat of the moment, but that's a microcosm of what the Whitecaps season has been like.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad. I think Daniil Henry could, do you think he could take care of Huijsens and Vacco?
Well, Waston for sure. That much goes said. Henry, he had surgery on his hand, so he is week to week. So I would like him to start. He's the second best centre back the Whitecaps have. But it's not the end of the world if it's Mon. But yeah, ideally I want Waston and Henry in there. That own goal against TFC was unfortunate, but he's still a good player. He's impressed with me a little bit, but he just needs. I think that punching the wall thing is. You have to come back from that. It's not a good look when you're walking around in a cast from a self-inflicted
wound.
Yeah. I thought the only thing that would have been worse was if he punched somebody. That would have been not good.
And broke them as well.
Yeah. Fullbacks, you want Levis and Nerwinski. Yeah. I like our fullback depth.
Yeah.
It's very good. Midfield. Let's try and decide. Felipe could play.
And I could see why he plays, but I would prefer, again, I think we have enough attacking creativity if we went to Teixeira wide, Davies wide, and Reina as that second striker up there with Kamara.
But then who takes the set pieces? Because Felipe has a good set piece on him.
Teixeira can be there.
True.
And Reina can be there. I think those are two really good options.
Reina more direct, though. If it's a shot, Reina. Or Teixeira.
Teixeira can score off. He's scored off direct kicks.
Yeah.
Tons of times.
Yeah, so getting Davies into the good spots is going to be crucial again. Sometimes it just seems too easy because you just give him the ball after you defend an attack and he does everything himself.
It's you're cheating.
Yeah.
It's just pace. It's pace. It's like a pace.
It's like on FIFA when you have someone who's a speed demon.
Yeah, I mean it's basically just using a pace tactic. I mean. Okay, that's
then the problem is
thing.
Who can get in the box fast enough to do the tap in that inevitably comes in. Wasn't there that run he made a few weeks ago where he was so fast that no one was in the box? Yeah. I
mean, that's a legitimate thing, but then if there's nobody in the box, he should just try to take it in on his own.
Yeah. Right? Or shoot from outside the box.
Shoot from outside of the box.
If there's one thing, we're saying we're slowly having a farewell tour for Davies, but if there's one thing you think he should add to his game before he leaves, what do you think it should be?
Yeah, I would like to see him score more awesome outside of the box screamers or something like that.
Are you concerned in any aspect of it with his technique in any particular way?
I mean, I think it's just he's super young. He just needs to learn what to do. Yeah. Right?
I think I might have said this before on the podcast, but I'm concerned about his tactical education as compared to his peers that he'll be playing with in Germany, right?
Yeah.
The players that go through academies there are they learn
constantly in that mode of learning the tactics of the first team,
and their interpretation of space and
are you saying
decision
he's going to
making.
Become a Rautemeiter?
No, he could be the next Thomas Muller. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah. Thomas Muller is one of my favorite players. He's great.
Yeah.
So mad he didn't sign for United a few years ago. Anyway, last part of the show, Nick. It's the prediction game. Mm-hmm. So I think the last game we predicted was Portland. Yeah. So you predicted that Eric Hurtado would have a goal. He came off the bench, but that didn't happen. You said Valeri would have an assist. He scored a penalty, so yeah. This is probably one of the more impressive things this season. 17 throw-ins for the Whitecaps. They had 16, so I'm giving it to you.
Yes.
That's the most detailed stat. Yeah, the most detailed stat we've had all season.
Now, if we can figure out successful throw-in percentage,
let's just not go there. I said Antonella would have 7 saves. He only had 3. I said Davies would have a yellow. He was injured for the game. I said Armientos would have an assist. He did not. So, season standings, 16 for me, 11 for you, and 10 for Gideon. We should give Gideon 5 guesses next, because he's missed a couple of shows. Next week we'll give him a couple of bonus.
Lightning round.
or I could give him a really hard, do you know who I am game, and if he gets it, he gets points for the prediction game.
Points.
Yeah. So, Nick, what's your prediction for this week?
I'm going to say Yeah, Davies, I think he's been kind of quiet, I think he'll have hopefully he'll have a really good game against San Jose. I'm going to say he's going to get 2 assists this game. Gazal with 12 tackles.
Okay.
And I think Houston's is going to get a goal.
Okay, cool. Wando off the bench for a goal for me.
Mm-hmm.
Waston yellow card, that old chestnut.
Your classic.
Yeah, and let's go Davies assist, because it's inevitably going to happen. Nick, where can people find you online?
At SpaceAgeRobot56.
And you can find me at Joe DC Van. It's squeaky bum time, people. It's that time of the season. God.
Crunch time.
Yeah. Part of me would be glad if the Whitecaps didn't make the playoffs. Is that bad? is that a bad thing to
what
say?
Is that even?
It's just so stressful. Like, I'm a United fan and a Whitecaps fan. The 2 worst teams to support right now. But
worst team. Seriously.
Whitecaps,
I think you're overreacting.
United lost to Brighton last week.
I'm sure we can find a worse team.
San Jose.
Worse team than United. Sure we can.
You could be supporting San Jose. That would be terrible. Thank you very much for listening to the AFTN podcast, and enjoy the game.
When you're listening in some far-flung corner of the globe to the world service of a Saturday afternoon, crackly reception, interference, cosy, marvellous. Somehow comforting, isn't it? Legendary names, fathers and sons, on the terraces, cheesy peas at half-time, pint for dad, mum's at home making the tea. Everything's all right with the world, isn't it? Saturday afternoon is football.